It's a bit strange for people to drive around with a bumper sticker that says they'd rather be hiking. If they would really rather be hiking, why aren't they? Why did they pick a less satisfying activity? Perhaps they mean to say that they enjoy hiking, but the things they would give up to go hiking at the moment are more valuable than hiking. After all, hiking may be free of charge, but it's not without opportunity costs. The time spent on a hike could otherwise be spent earning money, going to school, or completing important chores. Wise decisions come from careful comparisons of the costs and benefits of each option. For those who choose not to hike, a more accurate bumper sticker might read, "I love to hike, but I love having a job even more." In the previous chapter, we saw that in a market economy, individuals are responsible for making decisions well beyond whether to be at work or in the woods. For example, buyers decide what to buy and sellers decide what to sell. But how do buyers and sellers know if they're doing the right thing? It takes a good understanding of the costs and benefits of the options. In this module, we'll take a closer look at how to evaluate costs and benefits. And so the key idea that we want to focus on is that to make a good decision, you have to weigh all the costs against all the benefits. Don't make a snap decision. Carefully outline what all the benefits are of the decision you're going to be making and all the costs of the different alternatives, and then make your decision based on the one that gives you the greatest benefits compared to the one that has the fewest costs. So, what are the objectives that we're going to focus on? We're going to identify the opportunity costs of decisions that you make. Then we're going to describe the trade-offs that you have to make. Remember, a trade-off is something that you have to give up to make a choice, necessitated by a budget. We are all limited by a budget that we have, and we'll look at how we make those trade-offs. And then, finally, we will explain why something called a sunk cost should not affect the decisions that we make. So, let's begin with our look at this module. In the first chapter, I explained that the true cost of a decision is its opportunity cost, which is the value of what you give up for that decision. If you decide to go see a football game, the ticket price is part of the opportunity cost. But so is the value of the time spent traveling to the stadium and watching the game. If you do not see the game, you can spend the money and the time on something else, such as buying your own football and playing a game with your friends. So let's apply the principle of opportunity cost to a decision about college. If someone decides that they are going to go to college rather than entering the work world, what would his true cost of staying in college have been? Tuition would have been part of the cost, but not the largest part. His best alternative would be to spend his time operating and expanding his successful business. But by staying in college, this student who could have gone into business would have delayed the growth of his business. He would have sacrificed the income he could have earned during those years. Those foregone earnings would have been part of the opportunity cost of going to college. Now, if you had unlimited time and unlimited amounts of money to spend, the opportunity cost of any decision would be zero. You would not have to give up anything to get something else. You could have it all. But in the first chapter, we learned that because of scarcity, you can't always have as much of most things as you might want. Both time and money are generally scarce. There are more things we'd like to do with our time than we can fit in. So the decision to do one activity means giving up or sacrificing another one. There are also more things we'd like to buy than we can afford. So the decision to buy one good means we cannot buy another. If you have only $1 to spend at the dollar store where everything costs $1, you have a tough decision to make. If you buy the Coca-Cola dinner plate, the opportunity cost is that you cannot buy the stuffed purple gorilla. If you buy the stuffed gorilla, you can't buy the dinner plate. And even if you bought $100 to the dollar store, every purchase of one thing would have the opportunity cost that you couldn't buy something else. This is why your choice at the store, and your choices in general, necessarily involve trade-offs. So now let's look at the diagram that we have in front of us. When you have a certain amount of money available to spend, such as $1 at the dollar store, we say that you have what we call a budget. Oops. Let me do that again. That doesn't seem to be working real well, so let's go back and I'll circle it a different way. So I said you have what's called a budget. There we go. That's better. Because your budget is limited, you are forced to make a trade-off. The plate or the gorilla, but not both. So let's look at another example of how a limited budget leads to trade-offs. Suppose you have a budget of $25. And that is to be used for school lunches for the week. You can choose some combination of sandwiches which cost $5 each. Oops, right there. Or you can choose pizza slices which cost $2.50 each. If you spend your entire budget on sandwiches, you can have $25 divided by $5, which equals 5 sandwiches. If you spend your entire budget on pizza, you can have $25 divided by $2.50, which equals 10 slices of pizza. Of course, you don't have to buy only sandwiches or only pizza. You can have some combination of both. You can see the trade-offs in the figure in front of you, which shows every possible way to spend your budget. The quantity of pizza slices is shown on the horizontal axis, and the quantity of sandwiches is shown on the vertical axis. The budget line on the graph goes through every point that represents a quantity of pizza slices and a quantity of sandwiches that would cost $25 in total. That is, the budget line shows the combinations of the two items that you can afford if you spend your budget. Now, suppose you choose to buy 2 sandwiches and 6 pizza slices, which would be point A right here. You can afford this combination because it is on the budget line. But you cannot buy another sandwich without giving up some pizza slices. If you want a third sandwich, you have to give up 2 pizza slices because a sandwich costs twice as much as a slice of pizza. Buying the third sandwich would take you to point B. And at that point, you now have a third sandwich, but notice that you can only buy 4 slices of pizza. So you've given up 2 slices of pizza right here to get 1 additional sandwich over here to go from 2 to 3. So the opportunity cost of 1 sandwich is 2 slices of pizza. So if you want more pizza, you can move in the other direction along the budget line, giving up 1 sandwich for every 2 slices of pizza that you want. Now, suppose your friend talks you into going to hear a new band in concert at the local community center. Tickets to the concert cost $10 each, we'll say. As the band begins to play, you and your friend decide that you don't like the music. If you leave, you can watch the new Will Ferrell movie instead. Movie tickets cost $8 each. What is the opportunity cost of seeing the Will Ferrell movie? In considering this, be careful to ignore costs that are now inescapable, such as the $10 you paid for the concert ticket. The opportunity cost of seeing the movie is only what you have to give up if you switch from the concert to the movie, which includes the $8 for the movie ticket, but it does not include the $10 for the concert ticket. Now, why doesn't it include the $10 for the concert ticket? Because that $10 is already gone. Whether you see the movie or not, if you go to see the movie, you've spent the $10. What if you don't see the movie? You've still spent the $10. The $10 is gone whether you see the movie or not. So any cost that has already been paid back and that you cannot get back should not affect your decision. And this is a huge mistake that a lot of consumers make all the time. They make a decision based on a cost that they've already paid that they can't get back. Now, economists have a term for this. Economists refer to these as sunk costs. And these are costs that have already been paid and cannot be recovered. You can remember the term sunk cost by imagining the money you've spent has already been sunk into a hole too deep to reach into it. A sunk cost should not be a factor in decision making because it is paid no matter what you decide. The only costs that matter when making a decision are those that come with the decision you make. The $10 you already spent on the concert is not relevant. So if the movie is worth at least $8 plus the value of the time it will take you to watch it, then you should go to the movie. You will pay an additional $8, not an additional $18 for the movie ticket. If you say to yourself, I'm not going to spend $18 to see one movie, you might decide not to see it even though it is worth more to you than its true opportunity cost. To make good decisions, it is important to recognize the differences between the costs that matter and the costs that don't matter because they are sunk. Understanding how to evaluate costs is just one part of making good decisions. Costs must be weighed against benefits, and we'll see this in the next lesson. So, we've seen in this module that decisions come with opportunity costs that should not be neglected, and in some cases, sunk costs that should be ignored. Hopefully, decisions also come with benefits that somehow make life better now or in the future. For example, ice cream has its benefits. The big benefit of ice cream is that it tastes delicious. On the other hand, cough medicine tastes bad and costs money, but it provides the benefit of helping you feel better. And for the cost of a college education, one can expect to receive the benefits of more knowledge, more job opportunities, and higher pay. While everyone would agree that higher pay is a benefit and college tuition is a cost, other benefits and costs are personal and depend on the tastes and preferences of the person making the decision. For example, if you're the type of person who enjoys learning new things, then furthering your education will provide the additional benefit of allowing you to learn. If you have a brother who hates to learn new things, education will have a higher cost for him than for you. Likewise, some people wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to enjoy a jog before school, and other people only run when being chased. Clearly, one person's benefit can be another person's cost. So we say that benefits are truly in the eye of the beholder. Because costs, what is a cost for me may not be as much of a cost for you. What's a benefit for me may be greater for me than for you. So it's all individual and personal. But you have to make your decision based on your own personal benefits and costs. So in the next lesson, we will see how information on benefits and costs is used to make good decisions.